Thank you very much for coming this morning and taking time out for this fabulous food and beverage summit. Guys, really thanks and have a fantastic morning. We have a great panel here. I'm going to be introducing you one by one. But before I introduce you, I think I should introduce myself so you know who is this guy asking you the questions. So my name is Amit. I'm an engineer and a lawyer, and I have a couple of companies. I'm a co-founder in a couple of companies. One of the companies is Enalito, in which we have a software product based upon artificial intelligence and machine learning. This software product is for e-commerce companies. It's for people who are selling things online, either on Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce. We have a plugin and app which gets installed onto an e-commerce website like a Shopify or a Magento website. And from that day onwards, the website becomes smart. It will start tracking the behavior of the customers. It will start predicting a lot of things. For example, it will predict how much a customer is going to be giving you in next 1 year. It will predict the life cycle of the customer. It will tell you which customers you're about to lose. It will also do the marketing for you, the email marketing, the SMS marketing for you. It will also make your website personalized. If you have 100,000 people coming on a website, each of those 100,000 persons will be looking at what they really want to buy. The website will become personalized for each and every individual. It will also do a lot of analytics for you. Whatever, like how many customers are coming on, which are your VIP customers, which are your loyal customers, which are the customers you're about to lose, which are the customers, which are the products you should just kick out of your store. So a lot of analytics is being done. That's about me and my company. Let me start with the woman on the panel, Claire. I'll introduce you first. Ladies first. So Claire is a CEO and founder of Renewal Mill. She started a food truck business, and then she found that there are some problems. There are problems in people are not using. There's a gap. People are wasting a lot of food. People are not using the food waste properly. So she thought there is a big gap of how we can use the food waste, not waste, the things that we don't use. I think Jacob is also doing a similar thing. He is also doing a very similar thing, but Claire is focusing on food byproducts and how we can use those byproducts to create high value and goods. She has been interviewed by several publishers in the past, and she's going to rock the show today along with you. Thank you, Claire. Thank you very much for coming over. Let me come to Jacob. Jacob is a founder and CEO of Xoca World. They make beverages which are coming out of cocoa fruit, and especially the discarded portion of cocoa fruit, the portions which you don't like. Jacob will pull those portions out, the underappreciated portions, the discarded material of cocoa fruit, and will make a beverage out of it. And it's healthy, it's nutritious. Jacob is an engineer, is an aerospace engineer, and he's also did his MS, Master of Science from MIT. He is also a commercial pilot and a flight instructor. He has a lot of hats on his head. He's currently wearing one. He is a co-founder and director of Top Cork, CTO of Graphel, and founder and CEO of Aero Electric. So Jacob is definitely a techie and is a pilot, instructor, health, nutrition. He's doing everything. So that comes on his plate. He does it. He takes up as a business and does it. Moeed. So I've introduced two speakers who are health freaks, who are gonna make you healthy and make your food nutritious. Moeed, on the other hand, is gonna make sure that you guys indulge in ice creams. He's gonna defeat the purpose that Claire and Jacob carry. By indulging you in ice creams and desserts, which are such delicious that you might just get enticed by Moeed's business. Moeed runs a company called Chimney Cone Creamery. He also a managing partner of IQ Loft. He is a big fan of podcast. In the last few months, he has done a lot of podcasts, and he has invited a lot of key keynote speakers to participate in his podcasts, and he is also the founder of the Power Break. I will talk about the Power Break in a while. Moeed, thank you so much for coming over this morning. Dan, so Dan is gonna accompany Moeed in killing the purpose that Claire and Jacob carry. Dan is the beer guy. He is the one who get us drunk. So he makes very strong beers. That's his unique selling point. He makes strong beers. He's gonna knock you down. And he is currently having a coffee. I suspect it has beer. But Dan is a founder of Heavy Seas Beer. He's a board member of Beer Association. He has a lot of experience in the beer industry. He's been doing it for the last 25 years. Dan, thank you very much for coming over. Ben, who has been thinking and listening to us very, very patiently. Ben, over to you. Ben is also the health freak guy. They make jars. He works in a company called Simply Good Jars, and he's a director of strategic partnerships. And he's an avid speaker. He loves to speak. He is also a volunteer, coach, and mentor in various organizations. So people love to speak. They obviously become coaches and mentors because they love to speak. So Ben is the guy. So Ben, you got a platform. You got a perfect platform today to speak and share your experiences with us. Let me jump to Ben because he has been extremely patient. And Ben, tell us more about your business and how will last 5 months for you?
Thank you very much for that warm introduction. So our business is called Simply Good Jars. We're based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we're really at the end of the day a health food company. We look to grow access and convenience for healthy products by running a fresh food supply chain, starting with our premier product, which is jarred salads. Those salads come prepackaged with the dressing already included. It's as simple as shake and eat, and it really appeals to not only a consumer who's looking for healthy choices, but someone who's on the go. And in this world of the post-coronavirus, as we start transitioning and looking to the future, we need healthy, safe, prepackaged food that will not only nourish us, but treat us in a way that's good for both us and as well as the planet. And one of our founding principles is that our jars are reusable, so return them back to us. We'll donate a meal to a local food bank for that act, and we'll do everything we can to reuse and repurpose that jar. And so for the last 5 months, the company has been really pivoting from a model where we utilized smart fridges for our distribution to really taking on more of a wholesale model with some core clients selling products at Sheetz, selling products at Walgreens, and now through ghost kitchens and models like GoPuff utilizing e-commerce. I joined the company just about 4 weeks ago, coming most recently from a sustainability-minded company also in New Jersey. So for me, the last few months have been onboarding and getting up to speed as quickly as I can to be part of this great mission.
Excellent, Ben. Thank you very much. Ben, you are pivoting. You said it's very important to pivot in these times. How much of your business is wholesale and how much is online?
So right now we're pursuing a primarily wholesale model. Now that may be through brick and mortar retail or through e-commerce, but what we really pivoted away from, at least in the interim, has been the fridge model. The fridges and vending had been placed in offices and different public locations. Clearly, people aren't working out of those locations anymore, and so that's really created the need for us to meet consumers where they're at, and in many cases that is their home. And so for us, we're really trying to create an offering where even though people's lives have been disrupted, there's still a need for fresh food and healthy offerings, and we think we can meet the consumer there.
Very good. So Ben, what platform do you use for the wholesale online?
So we're utilizing GoPuff here in the Philadelphia area to manage direct-to-consumer delivery. We're also utilizing Cloud Kitchens in Chicago, and that ties into all the delivery platforms that consumers can access. And so with those platforms, we're able to deliver product directly to those warehouses, and then have those products then distributed through their respective channels. So while it may not be our own e-commerce offering at this point, It is our, our branded product going through those channels. And we think that's a really good way for us to grow while we're still very lean and young as an organization.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Uh, Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you for telling us about your business more. Claire, tell us something about your business. What have you been doing in the last 5 months?
Yeah, so we actually have had a very similar experience to what Ben just described. So our we upcycle byproducts into ingredients. So we have a B2B side where we sell the ingredients wholesale to other food companies who are looking to use them. But we also have a B2C side where we use these upcycled ingredients in our own branded products. The primary sales channel that we had found for those was in offices as snacks. So our main customers were office snack distribution companies, particularly in the Bay Area where we're located. And so obviously we also found the need to pivot and meet customers where they were, which was no longer in the office. So we have been really pursuing e-commerce and retail as well. So we're on about 20 plus e-commerce platforms now, in addition to having our own website and also being on Amazon, of course. And then we also we were able to launch at Whole Foods in Northern California in June. And then we also are now in distribution with UNFI. So that gives us access to more of the brick and mortar stores as well.
Very nice. Interesting. So what platform do you use? Your own website is which platform?
Yeah, so we use Shopify for our website. Mm-hmm.
Shopify, all right. You chose to sell on 20 different marketplaces, mm-hmm. along with Amazon's and and Shopify. You have your own website. Why would you adopt a strategy like that? What's the rationale?
Yeah, so part of it was like finding the right customer. So we have a couple of, well, and I will say too that those platforms also span the spectrum, as Ben was mentioning. Some of those are wholesale. So we're on Fair and Mabel, and those are websites where smaller markets are able to access us that maybe don't utilize large distribution channels, or they're looking for something more specialty. And then some of them are direct to consumer as well. And we went after places where we thought we would find our consumers. So we're on a number of the vegan grocery store websites. So places like Vegan Essentials. And then we also are on some of the direct to consumer grocery, kind of boxed grocery companies that are more in I would say the food waste space, or in that environmental food space. So platforms like Imperfect Produce, or Imperfect Foods, I guess, and Misfits Market on the East Coast. So there were some places where we saw a lot of really nice alignment with either our company, the mission of our company, and the company that we sell to, or with the consumer. So we kind of use that as a way to decide where we wanted to be.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
Moeed, why ice creams? What's your why?
Well, I think it's more than just why ice cream. The thing about our product is that we are very, very diligent on making sure we use products ingredients that customers know. So one of the issues that we came across when we were trying to whenever we go out, my co-founder and I and people in my network is, you don't really understand what some of those ingredients are made out of, and a lot of artificial ingredients. So it was important for us to actually get a product out there where people can enjoy ice cream and desserts and indulge on things that they like to eat while knowing what it's made of. So I think that was important for us as we went down that route. And then it also was an added benefit, and something that we like is that we actually use a canvas, which is the chimney cone, which is a little bit different than a regular cone. It's based off of a European dessert called Kurtos Kalak. So we actually made our cone, which is a lot of people like to call it a churro cone, a donut cone. It's not a churro or a donut, but basically why we went that route. And and of course, as we went down that route, it went into more than just ice cream. We have different kinds of brownies, specialty cakes, and a lot of different other desserts. But the key thing that makes us a little bit different and adds a little bit more value to our product is that we actually make sure we use natural, simple ingredients and what we, and what we make.
Excellent. Moeed, so what are your sales channels? You do offline, online stores?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do have a storefront, and we were making a lot of sales. And just to kind of go back to what you're saying, how things have went due to COVID, we actually ended up emphasizing and stressing a little bit more on our online channel, and it just naturally came to us because of people staying at home and people not wanting to go out. So we have our own website. We have a team that developed our website for us. So we use that to get orders. But in addition to that, surprisingly, and also not surprisingly, we get a lot of orders through social media. We get a lot of people reaching out to us through Instagram, Facebook. But we also have our point of sale provider, which is Toast. We use them. They have an app. We also use Grubhub and some of the the main third-party services out there. We do end up getting most of our orders directly through our customers through our social media, though.
Or what platform do you use for your website selling?
It's just internally built. We have a developer who built everything for us from the ground up, so we don't actually use like an actual platform per se. Everything is done in-house.
Excellent. That's in-house versus Shopify, Magentos. You chose to build something in-house. We will come to that question to you in a while. That why you did that? You can prepare yourself right now. I'm giving you a Jacob. So you are everywhere. Tell us something about your journey and your story.
I got to be honest, I haven't been everywhere in the last 6 months. I've been mostly hunkered down here in Chicago trying to ride out the pandemic and obviously do what we can do to keep our company going. We were at a significant disadvantage. We essentially launched Xoca at the end of last year. And our original strategy was to start relatively small and specialty retail here in the Midwest, mostly in Chicago, a little bit in Western Michigan. And we did launch with an e-commerce platform, our own website, but that wasn't our focus initially. So we weren't really putting a lot of resources into e-commerce to start. And then the pandemic hit and pretty much all our retail sales channels dried up completely. With the lockdowns, we were mostly in grab and go locations and restaurants. And when those closed, then we didn't have any sales channels there. So we basically pivoted to essentially a full e-commerce model in April. Built it out in May. We started working with a firm called Webistry that helped us build a landing page and helped us build a strategy for digital marketing and ad campaigns. And we launched that again at the end of May. And at this point, I'd say 99% of our sales are D2C. We are doing wholesale direct as well. So we are selling to retail locations through our existing channels. So we're actually, the platform we built, which includes a fulfillment center in Dallas, Texas, is where we ship out to retailers who order through us direct, since we're not using a distributor at the moment, and that seems to work really well too. So it's pretty seamless once it's set up. And we're built on Shopify, by the way, our own e-commerce channel. And beyond that, we're also listed on Amazon as well. So it's basically our own e-commerce channel and Amazon that we're using as a starting point. We have very limited resources right now. So we had to sort of pick and choose what was our best option, what was the best platform to get our message out, to get our story out to people, to reach people efficiently with the limited resources that we have, and see what happens. So in a sense, it was kind of like a proof of concept for us. And it's been successful, even with our limited resources. We've seen 3-digit month-to-month growth in sales online through our own channels. And we hope to sort of continue that push and also grow our wholesale direct channels as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you for coming over this morning. Dan, tell us your story. Why did you venture into beer? Did it come to you naturally, or what's your story?
I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, so you may know that was that's the city where Anheuser-Busch was founded and became such a big part of the landscape for beer in not just the United States but around the world. And but I ended up starting in the brewing industry in England and worked for a brewery there for 10 years that sold most of its beer through its own pubs. And then moved back to St. Louis to co-found a brewery, Schlafly Beer, and ran that for over 20 years. We sold that business back in 2012, and then I moved to Baltimore, where I am now, to help a friend who was the founder of Heavy Seas Beer in Baltimore. So I've been CEO of Heavy Seas Beer now for 3 years, a little over 3 years. Working really to reinvent, in many ways, a 25-year-old craft brewer. As you all know, there are craft breweries on every corner now in America. There's over 8,000 breweries in America. Many of them, their business model is based on selling beer directly to consumers through their tap rooms. There's less than a few hundred breweries really in the United States that make their way, pay their bills day to day on what we refer to as the 3-tier model, which is selling beer to wholesalers, licensed wholesalers in each state, sometimes by county, and then those wholesalers operate a direct store delivery model to off and on-premise accounts. So Heavy Seas primarily focuses on the 3-tier part of the business, so selling beer to wholesalers from Massachusetts to Florida out to Ohio, and those wholesalers then sell our beer on and off-premise retailers in draft and package form. So that's the model. Every state, as you know, in the US is a little different. Maryland was quite slow to allow brewers to own a retail license at the brewery. That changed about 4 or 5 years ago. So we have also been developing over the past 3 years a larger direct-to-consumer taproom model. So that now, well, pre-COVID, that accounted for about 10% of the revenue. But given that you're selling the beer directly to consumers, as opposed to through a wholesaler and retailer channels, you capture 100% of the margin. So it's quite profitable. And that's why, again, 90+% of breweries in America, that's the model they follow. They don't necessarily sell beer to wholesalers or other retailers directly or through those wholesalers.
Excellent. So Dan, what platform do you use to sell online?
So pre-COVID, we didn't sell beer online, and selling beer online in the United States pre-COVID was pretty non-existent. So what you might be familiar with in the alcohol space for sales online go through the 3-tier model. So companies like Drizzly, Minibar, Instacart, those, if you're getting deliveries of alcohol to your door since March, it's primarily coming through those resources, and they operate within the model, the 3-tier model. GoPuff themselves, for example, in Philadelphia that Ben was speaking about, they're a retailer, and where they can get a retail license for alcohol, they will sell alcohol on their platform. So they do in Pennsylvania, but for example, they can't get licenses in Maryland, so they don't offer alcohol, beer, wine, or spirits. Sometimes they can just have a beer license, sometimes beer and wine.
Dan, we have a client in New York. We have a client in New York. His name is, the company's name is Wine Large. They do a lot of alcohols and wines online.
Right. So the wine is different, believe it or not. The laws for the sale of beverage alcohol in the United States are different from state to state. So think about selling alcohol is like no other product sold in the United States. The states determine how alcohol is sold in every state. The wine industry has worked very hard over about 50 years to establish laws, regulations within states and between states to allow for wine shipping. And so the online wine business was quite large pre-COVID and has grown tremendously through the pandemic. But beer is different. Since the pandemic began, a number of states have relaxed their regulations to allow in-state breweries to ship within those states. But there's only about 6 states in the United States that allow sales of alcohol online direct to consumer, or sales of beer direct to consumer between states. So there's only a handful of states, for example, that we could, if we chose to, ship directly to consumers.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you so much for the insights. Uh, Ben, my next question is to you. You said that you are selling a lot of cloud kitchen and ghost kitchens and whatnot, but you do not have your own website. You do not have your own presence online. Is that right?
That's correct.
Is that by design or by default?
I think originally when we first launched the business a few years ago, we did do direct-to-consumer e-commerce, really because we didn't have the capital to either invest in physical machines, nor did we really have the cachet to go out there and sell our product through other channels. At this point now, the brand, at least in our local markets here in Philadelphia and Chicago, has grown a little bit of a following, and we are able to utilize distribution channels really for scale, and that's really where we're at as a business. So strategically, it hasn't made sense for us to really revisit DTC, but through our partner channels, we found success in this idea of a wholesale model, and we're really I think bullish on the future prospects of that. And so for us, that's a big part of our growth plans will be really filling the void in the market with our product. And that could be everything from grocery stores who used to have open air salad bars that no longer exist in the post-COVID world, but also, convenience minded retail spaces and shops where consumers are looking for added on the go options versus maybe more traditional sit down dining.
Mm-hmm. So Ben, is your company funded?
Yes, yep, we're privately funded at this point. We'll be looking at another raise probably here in Q1 of the next year. And so we're well positioned both from a funding standpoint, but also from a production standpoint to really scale with the hopeful increase in demand.
Excellent. So could you guys have your break even, or how is the company doing?
Yeah, we're in the traditional startup phase, so we're definitely expelling more cash than we're taking in at this point. But we have a road to profitability, and it's really going to be through a wholesale model, which we're seeing has the potential to be very, very profitable for us. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you so much. Jacob, is your company funded?
Yes, we're also privately funded. We've done a couple of seed rounds, and we're also looking to raise another round before the end of the year to allow us to continue the growth that we're seeing on e-commerce.
People who are venturing into e-commerce, in e-commerce businesses, how can they woo investors?
Oh, you're asking me. Well, it's always a challenge, but I think it's a combination of things. I think having a product that's well positioned for the current market environment is sort of key for us. We're a unique product. As you've mentioned, we consider ourselves a sustainable beverage company. So we have a social cause mission as well. We're upcycling the discarded parts of the cacao fruit to make what we are, these functional beverages that we're currently marketing. Our first offering is a prebiotic soda, which has gut health properties as well as immunity support. So that story resonates well in the market currently. And our challenge basically is getting that story out to people. We're something that's new that no one's ever heard of before. So we can't just rely on our packaging to sell our product. This is why for us, e-commerce is a really great platform, because we can really get our story in front of a lot of people and target those people appropriately to try and drive trial and hopefully get return customers. So building that story for investors is key. The proof of concept that we did online, showing that we can get real traction with consumers, that we're getting good feedback, we're getting good reviews from people that are trying our products, and also really good engagement online, and also the sales increase. So we're starting small, but that positive story, those trend lines, I think are really important. That in combination with our story, the product itself, and the current market environment is what we're relying on, hopefully to convince someone to help, to take us to the next round as far as private investment is concerned.
Very nice. Thank you so much. That's a great input. I think in the last 1 week, on Friday, we did a lot of webinars. The entire week was Food and Beverage Summit. We had 2 people coming from Shark Tank, and they said a very similar thing. And did you try Shark Tank by any chance?
No, I haven't tried Shark Tank. Wouldn't be my first choice necessarily, but definitely some good ability if you can get on the show.
Okay, all right, yeah. So one of the guys who came, his name was Tony, and he was mentioning about Shark Tank. He struck a deal with Barbara, and he said that he watched every episode 3 times. He knew all the questions they can possibly ask. He knew his number very well. He knew if you're gonna ask them, I'm gonna tell them. I'm gonna tell this. So and you got a great story and a great product. Perhaps if you want to connect with Tony, let me know. I'll connect you with Tony. A very nice guy. Yeah, good. He also does cocoa brew. He got a coffee, coconut based coffee, new product. Uh, in food, there are a lot of things you can do because there's so many ingredients around the globe. Every country has so many ingredients. You can mix and match so many things and come up with a new invention. Um, I hope there were patents in food, so you can patent your food item, but a lot less people are able to patent their food. So great. Thank you so much, Jacob. Claire, you are using Shopify. So which ones are your favorite apps on Shopify and why?
Oh, that's a good question. This is something we've been kind of toying around with as we've made this pivot to focus on e-commerce. So I would say one is we use Judge Me for reviews. That has been an important one so far, so great with that app. I think just importantly, we've seen how critical reviews are, especially as, as Jacob was mentioning, I think it's a little bit of a struggle to meet consumers and to be part of their process of new brand discovery in this COVID era, where people are totally changing their shopping habits. And so, we don't have those in-store demos. We can't go to offices and talk to people. We don't have the festivals to be going to. So the way that we kind of have a little bit of kind of clout and some, that proof that this is a good brand, this is a good product, really comes from those reviews. So we found that to be a really important piece of the e-commerce platform for us. And then we also use Klaviyo too, so that we can capture people's emails for our newsletters and get them right into to some of our communication flows, so that we can start engaging with our customers and thanking them for their purchases, finding out why they purchased, and being able to have that more personal connection with the consumer as well, because that's another piece that's important to us in terms of building the brand loyalty, especially at the beginning here, and especially as a company that doesn't have a lot of brand recognition outside of the Bay Area.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your advice. Judge Me and Klaviyo are your favorite apps. Thank you. Although people say don't judge me, but you use Judge Me. That's quite interesting. Moeed, you chose to go in-house. You chose to develop your website yourself instead of relying on Shopify's Magentos of the world. Why would you do that?
So I think I was in a fortunate situation where I had developers as a partner, and I was able to set up the website and get it built out. Fortunately, in a way that most people who are starting a company cannot, I was able to minimize the cost and get that built out. That does not mean that we don't have an intention to get on Shopify and some of these other channels, because there's a large benefit to getting on those channels, reaching customers that we can't reach on our own. So we do have full intent to do that. It's just, for us, we made the pivot to go more into online sales around the time the pandemic hit. We were very much storefront, and when the pandemic hit, obviously it was more, okay, we're getting a lot of customers reaching out anyway that want to be at home, so it makes sense to kind of pivot in that direction a little bit more. And this gives us the benefit of getting feedback directly from our customers, and kind of understanding how we work in-house, getting these products out, and then getting onto one of these e-commerce platforms that are available out there. So it's not that we don't have an intent, it's just I was in a fortunate situation where I had developers on hand.
Great. So basically, you should go for your custom-based website in-house only when it's being done for free by a partner,
or at a discounted rate. You have to look at the cost and benefits, see what costs less, and yeah.
Sure, makes sense. Let me do a first poll question that all of you can answer. I will pull it up right now. All right, I'm gonna allow you to vote. The first poll question is this. I hope you can see the question. The question is, do you know which customers you're losing? So all of you are selling things online. A lot of customers come and go. Do you know which customers are never gonna come back to you? Could you see the question? Are you able to see the question and answer it? All right, so please answer it. I'm gonna end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. All right, 50% no, 50% do not know. Dan, what was your answer to the question?
Well, the question was, do we know which customers we're losing? And in our business, we know exactly who we're losing, because what we've lost are our on-premise customers through our wholesalers. So when the pandemic hit with the closures of bars and restaurants, we lost all of our draft beer business. So that was 35% of our business. We also closed our tap room. So that was 10% of our business. So we had to pivot very quickly to producing a lot more packaged beer, notably canned beer, which is a challenge for us basically for production reasons. And then we also had to move from a taproom model where you're selling beer by the pint out of kegs to a curbside model. We were not set up, nor was it clearly going to be legal at the time for us to start a delivery service. And we chose in time not to do delivery ourselves because we would be competing with liquor stores in our area who are working through the Drizzly or minibar model. So, but we have started a very successful curbside business, and we continue to develop that business as best we can with the limited resources we have available, while we focus most of our attention on meeting orders for packaged beer, notably cans, and a big increase in canned beer orders from our wholesaler partners, again, from Massachusetts to Florida and out to Ohio. So it's been a challenging 5.5 months. Alcohol, like other food products, was deemed to be essential. So we started by first figuring out how to keep our production capacity open and operating through the initial phases of the pandemic. So that was my focus, was just how do we keep operating and avoid a shutdown.
We got two clients, one in Australia and one in New York. Australian guy is called Wine Central. He controls about 80% wine market in wine and hard liquor market in Australia and New Zealand. His business grew 15 times in New Zealand. Like, people became alcoholic in New Zealand in the last 5 months. They're drinking a lot more because they don't go to shops or restaurants anymore. They're consuming at home, perhaps by the spouses after they're drunk. But this guy is making money. He's minting and he's laughing. The other guy in New York, who's again selling wines, and we are helping them with email marketing and everything else. But his business grew, and this guy, the New York guy, the wine large guy, his business grew 3 times in the last 5 months. And this guy, the wine guy in New York, he deals with collectibles, like bottles of wines worth $100,000, bottles of alcohol worth $200,000, collectibles where you buy these wines and you don't bring them home. Those wines with the producers, and you don't bring them home because you can't really store them at home. They need a particular temperature, a particular humidity. So you actually pay for storage as well. And then those wines, you buy them, they don't come to your home, they stay there, and their prices will increase every 3-4 months. The prices increase, and you can sell those wines, the collectible wines, to somebody else, like a wine collector, at a premium price. His business is also
the businesses in the wine space, especially in the wine space, that were already set up to do direct to consumer shipping have grown dramatically. And obviously the Drizzlies and mini bars have grown dramatically through the pandemic. Curbside for companies like Total Wine has grown dramatically. So it's a mix the total amount of alcohol being consumed in the United States has stayed at about the same, whereas in other countries it has declined dramatically, especially countries like South Africa and Mexico, for example, where alcohol was deemed to be not essential and the production and sale of alcohol was shut down. So it's a mixed bag around the world. And countries, especially the European countries, where so much production was based on on-premise consumption. The shutdown of on-premise really has led to declines in total beverage alcohol consumption, especially for beer, which is so driven by pint consumption in pubs and restaurants, whether that's in the UK or even in the United States. We've really struggled in the United States to make up the difference. If we're down, even today, we're down, the industry's down about 50% in terms of consumption or sales to on-premise retailers. And while we've grown the off-premise significantly, we haven't made up that difference. So it's been challenging for sure. And it's going to continue as we slowly recover. With these openings and shutdowns of bars and restaurants, it's really, really, really a challenge.
Understandable. Yes. It will recover. Don't worry. People will start drinking. Don't worry about that. People will start drinking more.
I'm pretty confident that the trends are going in both directions. So for those who are producing better for you products, whether they're beverages or food products, consumers are definitely going towards those. But those of us who are older and even younger consumers, they need to let loose during these tough times. And beverage alcohol is consumed in moderation can definitely help with that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dan. Jacob, you are 99% of your business is currently on Shopify. Is that right? You only
It's mostly Shopify with some Amazon as well.
do you do ads?
We do. Facebook mostly at this point.
Facebook. So if I give you $100, let's say marketing budget is $100, where would you spend it? Facebook or SEO or content writing? What percentage do you spend on ads and what percentage do you spend on SEO and content?
It's mostly ads at this point. We have spent, again, in our position now, we have very limited resources. So we have to make tough decisions on where to spend our money at the moment. So we prioritize ads because that's the way we're going to reach people, new customers, and drive trial. But we are spending money on SEO, and we have put some money into Amazon, but we're not running a lot of ads on Amazon right now. It's mostly just Facebook because we were advised, given that we're a new company, new brand, in terms of driving discovery, that was the best way to start, given our limited resources. We couldn't do both. We couldn't have a proper ad campaign both on Facebook and on Amazon. We decided to focus on Facebook. So we optimized our own website. Creating the landing page was a key aspect of that strategy. That was really critical. Having a single location, a single page that people can come to and get our complete story in a condensed manner and lead them directly to the buy page was critical. It really shortens the buy time. It makes it easier for people to check out. And we've seen that really as an important tool in driving our initial discovery and growing our sales online. So that's where we focus. Once we raise more money, then obviously we'll expand our ad buys, both on Facebook, potentially Google, and Amazon as well, and hopefully have the same success.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Claire, do you sell on Amazon?
Yes, we do.
Why should somebody not sell on Amazon?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I can tell you, if you don't, I don't have a lot of experience in this, but I think that if you have certain items, it's harder to make the margin. So heavier, like lower value items can be more challenging. Maybe Jacob actually can speak to this because I'm sure it's potentially a challenge with beverages. We found, one of the things that's important is really to have kind of bulk packs that are offered on Amazon because that's a much better margin. So selling those cheaper items, the less than $15 items, it's hard to make a decent margin with Amazon's fees, especially if you're opting into Fulfilled by Amazon, which is generally seen as like kind of a necessary thing to do, because it really helps promote the sales when you can opt into the Prime experience for the Prime customers. So yeah, I think that might be some of the ways. We started just by kind of throwing on some of our single items. So some of our flour, our 1-to-1 baking mix, and the brownie mix, we started with just single bags, and we realized that actually there was demand for, because of the way people shop on Amazon, looking for to kind of stock up, and they wanted the deal that came with having, multi-packs, and it was beneficial to us from a margin point of view. We started offering those multi-packs, and that was really helpful for us as well. So especially kind of consolidating everything to one product page where a consumer can choose. Do they want the single, the triple pack, or the whole case? And that has been really helpful to us. But yeah, I can see some products may be more challenging to make the Amazon model work in terms of margin.
And I will, if I can add real quickly, that's entirely accurate. Our margins on Amazon are much lower, and that was the other reason we decided to focus on our own e-commerce channel to start as well. You can't ignore Amazon. It's a behemoth. It's huge. The potential to reach millions of people obviously is key, but you just have to be well positioned on that platform. For us, given the weight of our product, shipping is a significant cost. And right now, we're not being fulfilled by Amazon. We're doing our own shipping. Orders come in through Amazon. So that's even worse. For us to make this work, we really do need to be fulfilled by Amazon, and we need to have enough volume to make that worthwhile. So, having more funds to be able to withstand the initial sort of low margins so we can grow volume on Amazon is going to be key. We don't want to ignore it, but if I had my preference, I would sell everything through our own e-commerce channel, obviously, just because the margins are so much better. It's the fees, it's the shipping, and it's the logistics of just keeping stock with Amazon, because again, they charge you for storage as well, for warehousing. So you have to sort of manage that. You don't want to store too much with them, depends on volume. So it's tricky getting started on Amazon, especially for us with a very heavy product.
I'm going to clip this part and tag Jeff Bezos on LinkedIn with this. Hopefully his ears are open and he can do something about it, because a lot of businesses which are actually struggling with Amazon. A lot of my clients also want to sell on Amazon. They don't allow it. If they're allowing it, they're charging a premium for allowing you to sell on Amazon. I was just kidding. Don't worry about it. All right, Ben. So what's your take on Amazon? Do you like Amazon?
I think we're certainly fans of Amazon. I think where maybe perhaps our sites are more closely aligned will be actually Amazon's retail presence. So as you've, I'm sure you're well aware, there's Amazon Go models that have started to, populate the West Coast, and they're now expanding nationwide. Within that, there's an Amazon Go grocery model that we're quite intrigued by, because again, our product is really a grab and go item. We're not seeing that consumers, perhaps are looking for grab and go items for convenience sake, because, clearly we all have a little bit more time in our daily lives, but really from a safety and a low contact, low touch way, people are looking for ways to limit the virus spread and really protect themselves while still accessing the products that they want. And so I think we're quite, optimistic in those sort of cashierless grocery stores. That may be a model which we look to involve ourselves with. And at some point as well, certainly utilizing Amazon's fresh capabilities, whether it's the fresh model or the Whole Foods delivery. I think they do fresh a little bit better than a lot of other players, and knowing the kind of dynamics of a fresh food supply chain and the low code, it is certainly a consideration for us to find the right players where, we can deliver those products to consumers and we don't sacrifice anything on the actual experience.
Excellent. Great to know. Moeed, do you know the lifetime value of your customer? In other words, do you know if this customer bought desserts and ice cream from me in this year, how much will he be spending in next 6 months with me? How much will he or she be spending in next 1 year with me? So do you know the customer lifetime value?
I think that a lot of our analytics are very young right now because we are a young company, but to be frank, I think we can say like a certain percentage of our customers we can predict will come back and will come back for a certain amount of time. Yes. We for example, I would say maybe like 10 to 15% of customers are consistent customers. They're coming in and they're buying things on a monthly basis, whereas a certain percentage is coming in maybe just on occasion. So yeah, we do have some statistics that tell us that information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jacob, do you know the customer lifetime value of your customers?
We're sort of in the same position, being a very young company. We're starting to understand our customers a lot better now. And I would say too, that's one of the advantages of having our own e-commerce platform versus Amazon. We don't have a lot of insight into our customers on Amazon, and we don't get a lot of information. We know their names. That's essentially it. You know, through our own e-commerce channels and through social media, because everything's connected, Facebook, Instagram, to our landing page, the ads, everything's integrated. So, you know, I'm engaging with customers every single day on both Facebook and on Instagram. We're getting an understanding of who's buying with what regularity. For us too, you know, since we're trying to drive trial, people are buying our sample cases to try. And so we can see who bought a sample case and then came back and bought a full case of our product and who's buying on a regular basis. So it's still early days for us. It's only been 2 or 3 months. So you know, it's hard to draw conclusions from this initial couple-month period, but we have all the tools necessary to be able to track that over time and to engage and understand who's buying, who's not, who's responding well, and who's not.
What tools are that?
I'm sorry?
Which tools are those?
It's basically analytics built right into Shopify.
Okay.
And, you know, we use Trustpilot for reviews, so we're getting some reviews through Trustpilot, but a lot of it's just engagement through Facebook and Instagram as well. Like I said, we're getting, you know, through our ads, people comment, they provide feedback, they're asking questions, and it's been, I've been surprised actually the level of engagement, the level of interest that we're seeing. Some of this I think is sort of more motivated first movers, people that really like the brand, like the idea, like the concept. But that still to me is encouraging, and it allows us to really sort of figure out who is responding to our story and message and where we have to make changes.
Excellent, excellent. We are helping with a lot of our clients with this customer they're losing. We can identify these customers never going to come back, whether you're in wine industry or food industry or beverage or fashion. We're able to tell you these people are never going to come back to you because we are using certain parameters called RFM parameters. Recency, frequency, monitoring, how recently a customer is coming to you, how frequently is customer coming to you, and how much money is spending on your store. Based upon RFM, we're able to predict which are your loyal customers, which are the customers you're about to lose, which customer, how can we retain these customers, and most importantly, because of our AI and algorithm, we're also able to predict the customer lifetime value. That this customer gonna be spending these many dollars with you in next 6 months to that level. And hence, we're able to predict the store revenue for next 1 year because we're predicting revenue for each person. So they were able to predict the store revenue for next 1 year. Now, let me launch a second poll question. All right. Okay. This is my favorite one. Hopefully you are able to see. Can you see the screen? Are you able to? Are you able to see the poll on your screens? Nope. All right, let me just relaunch. All right. Okay, so let me ask you because there's some technical issue. Claire, what's your marketing strategy? Do you prefer to go SEO and do this do SEO and content writing, or do you focus on ads? And where do you buy your customers from in short?
Yeah, so right now we've been focusing on Amazon. We've been doing a little bit driving traffic to the website as well, but you know, using Instagram ads kind of as was already talked about to kind of start that brand awareness and brand discovery process for customers. But we found Amazon a great place to start just because we can very easily reach the exact target audience that we're going after. And, you know, with Amazon, you're reaching a customer that's already pretty much ready to buy. So in terms of kind of the low hanging fruit for the ROI on our marketing and ad spend, we've been concentrating it on Amazon.
So, you know what they say? They say if you are giving money to Amazon or Facebook or Insta, you're basically making Jeff Bezos more richer than what he is. You are putting money in Zuckerberg's pocket, you're putting money on Instagram, you're increasing their valuation. What about your valuation? How would you increase your valuation if you keep selling on Amazon?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good point. It's kind of one of those necessary evils, I guess, in the sense that, you know, you do have this incredible way of reaching customers in a relatively easy way. In terms of just like working on our own kind of brand, we use a lot of like, we've done a lot with PR just because it takes time, but it doesn't take a lot of money. So we do a lot of, you know, for every kind of new thing that we have or exciting kind of launch that we have, we put press releases out. We're able to get some of those picked up. I think we've you know, particularly in like industry, like trade publications, there's, you know, we've been able to get some nice mentions in there. That helps us with SEO. That helps us with the backlinks, of course, to our website and everything. So we've seen that is, I wouldn't say that's like a, you know, an immediate return on the effort that you're putting in, but it's certainly been a useful pathway for us to continue putting in some effort to see some returns there.
Claire, are you funded?
We are, yeah.
Okay. So how do you manage your expectation of your investors versus your expectation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, hopefully our expectations are pretty aligned. We're both, you know, more or less looking for the same thing. But yeah, it's we do a lot of like, you know, communication, and we have sort of our, you know, meetings and one-on-ones with investors. We really have taken care to try to find investors that are really aligned with what we're doing and that really support our work, and that makes it easy to see them as kind of mentors and resources in addition to being investors.
That's an ideal situation where you and your investors have aligned expectations.
Mm-hmm.
What do you advise to people when the investors comes on board and the expectations are misaligned, whatever word you want to use?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I go back to the answer of communication. I think being kind of open and honest in conversations is really helpful. Making sure that you're transparent and sharing information is a good way to help manage expectations on that front. And also just figuring out how you know, how you can kind of take advantage of some of the resources that the investor has so that you guys are working together towards the same end goal. Is also something that can help bring everyone onto the same page and remind everyone that you're all working for the same, you guys want the same things.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Ben, it's very important to make your customers your fans, okay? I mean, customers come and go. As a lawyer, I understand clients stay with you a little longer and fans love you. So customer, clients, fans, this is a journey, okay? How do you make your customers your fans? What do you do to make your customers your fans?
Yeah, I think it takes a multi-pronged effort, really, in the form of engagement. I mean, we are, you know, at the end of the day, a food company, and food is an emotional sort of connection with your fans. And so, you know, we're really into being a product-forward company and getting product in the hands of consumers whatever way possible. Pre the pandemic, we were actively sampling our product in the New York and Philadelphia markets, as well as Chicago, and really finding ways to trial product with consumers, because we find that, you know, once consumer has the product in their hand, it's a tangible experience. And then of course, once they've tried the product and, you know, hopefully have enjoyed the product, they're much more likely to come back. And so, you know, during this time now, we're working to make sure, you know, any prospective customers and clients that we get, we always really lead with samples, let them feed their entire office, let them take the jars home with them and feed their families, because we know that's going to drive loyalty. And at the same point too, where we can, you know, tie that into our mission, where we do the same. And so, you know, for the case of our fridge vending model, you know, most of those locations went dark overnight with the onset of the pandemic, as campuses and offices cleared out. But we knew we had an opportunity with vending machines located in hospitals. And so for the early part of the pandemic, we opened up those vending machines, made them free for all the first responders who were working in the hospitals and really, making a difference on the front lines. And for us, that was, partly for goodwill, but also, just to continue to get the trial out there, because we know that, going forward, the loyalty we can build by doing, making a small investment in the beginning is really something that we're, actively looking to become really much more involved in the community.
Very nice. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ben. That's a good insight. Dan, a lot of businesses are suffering. What values should a business have so that they can pass through the cloud, the thunder, the tough weather? What values a business must carry to pass through this thunder?
Start by caring for your employees and your customers, and do everything you have to do that first. And then I believe for food and beverage, I think it's focusing so much on the product itself. If you believe in what you're doing, put your resources into producing the best product you can, the best, in our case, beer or beverage or food item. If you really believe in that, you can bring consumers along. Small breweries have been a real agent for a change in a lot of communities in the United States over the past 20 years. And that can continue. You just have to figure out how to pivot that and engage with consumers differently. And obviously, a lot of that is now being done online through social media and digital media. So you have to figure out how to do that effectively. But first and foremost, during the pandemic, if you care about your employees and their health, and you care about your consumers and their health, and you care about that first, you're going to find business solutions. You're going to find ways of reaching consumers and keeping revenue streams available to you. But there's no doubt we're gonna lose a lot of brick and mortar retailers, both restaurant. We're going to lose a lot of bars and restaurants here in the third and fourth quarter, based on a number of factors. Just that they can only keep going for so long without business returning or revenues returning to where they were.
Sure. That started positively, it ended negatively.
Yeah, it's the. I think ultimately those spaces will continue to be used as bars and restaurants down the road, but it's going to take a while for consumers to feel comfortable gathering again, especially in indoor spaces that tend to be pretty cramped and you're close to each other. But we are social beings. We like to be with other humans, and beer is a lubricant to social interaction, and I don't see that changing ever. So we'll find our way back into bars and restaurants, but we will maybe
take a little while
shop differently in them, and we will definitely be shopping differently when we're consuming for home use.
Sure.
But as Jacob was referring to, it's challenging for lower value beverages that also are heavy. So the logistics of, I was talking to a brewery in California that has fulfilled over 14,000 direct-to-consumer orders just in the state of California. So the state of California legalized interstate shipping for beer. It had always been there for wine, but it had been there for the past 20 years for wine. They legalized it for beer in March. And since March, through Shopify, they've fulfilled 14,000 direct-to-consumer orders. And it has been brutal for them. They've done it, and they've got a high price compared to other beers. but it has been brutal in all sorts of ways for them. But they've done it, and the breweries like that and companies like the ones you have on today are going to sort of lead the way in terms of figuring out ways of capturing margin back and surviving.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you very much. This is our last round. In this last round, guys, I will request you guys, if you have any questions to a fellow panelist, Moeed can ask Ben, Ben can ask Dan, vice versa. If you have any question to anyone, please go ahead and shoot. It's open firing.
Sure. Well, as much as I love my other fellow health food panelists, I think I also enjoy a pint every once in a while. So for Dan, what's your favorite beer that you brew? As I will certainly be in Baltimore at some point, and would look forward to trying one.
Well, our flagship beer, Loose Cannon IPA, has been around for many, many years. And what we're finding is that consumers are gravitating back to brands that they've been familiar with for many years. So it's nice to just sit back and have a pint of Loose Cannon.
Great.
Excellent. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. I think we have our heads on our shoulder. Guys, thank you very much. Thank you so much. We had a good discussion. It was fabulous to know your thoughts, know your views on your business, on advising people, mentoring people. You guys are such givers. Did not shy away from sharing your secrets, sharing the techniques that you're using with all honesty, with all impromptuness. You guys were sharing your things, sharing your secrets, sharing success keys. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming over, and I wish you a fabulous weekend. Please go back to your families, enjoy it. Try not to work in the weekend. I try not to work in the weekend. Try to spend some time with your family and your friends. And thank you so much again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Thank you very much.